Bueno, hola, buenas tardes a todos. Bienvenidos a este nuevo webinar con la Universidad de Melbourne. Hoy vamos a tener una sesión diferente a la que tuvimos la semana pasada. Hoy vamos a hablar únicamente de esta universidad, que es una de las universidades más destacadas en Australia y es una institución con la que Colfuturo tiene un convenio que da diferentes descuentos dependiendo del programa que ustedes vayan a realizar. Entonces, para personas que van en los programas que están en el Melbourne School of Design y el Graduate School of Humanities and Social Sciences, the Faculty of Arts, estas personas reciben un 15% por ser beneficiarios de Colfuturo. Quienes van al Melbourne Graduate School of Education tienen un 25% de descuento en el valor de su matrícula y las demás facultades tienen un descuento del 10%. Entonces, la invitación es a que escuchemos a Zoe, que es la persona que nos va a acompañar el día de hoy, y a que nos envíen sus preguntas a través del chat. Al final de la presentación, haremos las preguntas para que ella nos pueda apoyar con estas inquietudes. Entonces, Zoe, thank you so much for joining us again, for your time and for your interest in meeting our beneficiaries. So please go ahead.
Thank you so much. I'm really pleased to be with you here today. I'm coming to you live from the city of Melbourne, where it's bright and early in the morning, and it's my absolute pleasure to be with you today. I'm just going to share my screen with you, so just one moment. Okay. Now, can I just check that you can all see that? Excellent. So today I would really love to share with you why I absolutely love the University of Melbourne. I am a former student myself, and to this very day I still love stepping onto this beautiful campus. I love the feeling of inspiration, the incredible people that you meet, and I really feel that it did prepare me for a really flexible career and to be able to adjust to careers of the future. So I'm really proud to be a University of Melbourne graduate. So today I do want you to think about what is possible for you to come and study in Australia. We are very much a nation of innovation, entrepreneurship, and we are at the gateway to Asia, which is one of the fastest growing economies in the world. So this offers you an incredible opportunity to be at that gateway and to be part of a truly multicultural country where you will study with students from over 140 different nationalities from all around the world. And I felt that I benefited greatly from that because you get to see people's different lenses that they cast over what you're learning in class. And it really does put you in a wonderful position for when you do go out and you do build your career, because you're able to think from different perspectives. You're able to approach problems in different ways, and you've been able to think from different cultural perspectives as well. So it really does set you up to make an impact in your own country and in other countries throughout the world. So to get started, on your screens is a picture of a little baby. And this is all going to make sense to you in a moment. But what if I were to say the number 2,600? So 2,600 children die every single week from this particular problem. This is the highest cause of infant mortality in the world. Now, if we were live, I would ask you to make a guess about what you think that might be. But in fact, a lot of people would say malaria, and that's a really fantastic guess. Others say malnutrition, and that's also a really fantastic guess. But no one has ever got it right. It is in fact pneumonia, and pneumonia is the leading cause of mortality in children under the age of 5 worldwide. Now, the reason that we probably don't think this is because in countries like ours, we often associate that with the elderly, the frail, not necessarily children, but it is in fact the leading cause of mortality. So researchers at the University of Melbourne decided this wasn't good enough. Now in Australia, this is not the leading cause of mortality in children, but the University of Melbourne decided this wasn't good enough, even though it isn't a huge problem in Australia. This is something that there is a treatment for. So you may or may not be familiar that the way that pneumonia is treated is through antibiotics. But the real way that people are actually treated for this and given life-saving treatment is actually medical grade oxygen. Now, to do that, you need an uninterrupted supply of electricity. You need the healthcare professionals to deliver that. And when you're in a lower resource country or you live remotely, it's sometimes very difficult in order to deliver that. So researchers at Melbourne thought, this is crazy. There is a real treatment for this, but there are so many people around the world that are having to have an impact because of it, because they're not able to have this treatment. So again, if we were live, I might ask you, who do you think might tackle a challenge like this? And often people think of those frontline medical staff, doctors, nurses, public health officials, that kind of thing. The person who actually decided that they wanted to do something about this was a physicist, Professor Roger Rasool, physicist. How that sounds kind of crazy. But this is the kinds of things that we do at Melbourne. We like to approach problems from different and multidisciplinary perspectives. He pulled together a team of engineers, designers from the School of Design to look at ways that they could actually build a portable, cheap, and obviously effective system to deliver medical grade oxygen that didn't rely upon electricity and could be treated by people. So it was simple and easy, cheap and portable. They pulled in people from the medical school, the doctors, to make sure that how would patients receive this? Does this work? They pulled in people that worked to make sure culturally people would accept this treatment. So they worked with public health people that worked in health promotion and epidemiology to make sure that it would also work. So this particular project called FREO2 won Australia's leading science prize, the Eureka Prize. And this was only 2 years ago. And I said to Professor Rasool, wow, this is fantastic. You must be so thrilled. And he said, actually, the only real reward was that we saved 29 babies in Uganda last month. It works. And so why am I telling you this? Again, this illustrates this idea of engineers, designers, epidemiologists, frontline medical staff coming together with a physicist. So they thought about a problem from many different angles and they approached it. And they were successful in what they did. This is something that is actually helping reduce the mortality and pneumonia as a problem worldwide. It can actually be treated. So this was a wonderful, huge way of thinking. The other thing is Professor Rasool teaches students right from first year and undergraduate to masters by coursework and right through to research postdoctorate students. So we don't hide away our wonderful staff. They're there because they're really passionate about what they do. And it means that you're going to learn from people who are right at that front line of innovation. And that's the same with his collaborators from engineering, Melbourne Design School, and our medicine, dentistry, health science, and faculty of arts. So that was 5 different faculties coming together on this incredible research. Now, on your screens is the very, very beautiful Great Barrier Reef. So Colombia, to me, I think is spectacular. I find the mountains and the jungle incredible. In Australia, very different. We've got the Great Barrier Reef and it's one of the natural wonders of the world. It looks really pretty at first, but look closer. And when you look closer, you can see on the screen where I've got the mouse, there's that white coral. Now that's coral that's dying. So there's a bit of gloom today, but good stories at the end. This is coral bleaching, and this is happening due to climate change. And I know that the Colombian government is trying to do a lot in the way of sustainability and climate change and to protect your beautiful, beautiful ecosystems and for a healthy environment. So this will probably ring true to you too. We wanted to protect our Great Barrier Reef so that Australians and people overseas could enjoy it for lifetimes to come. And again, this is a sign of a really sick ecosystem. So there's so many different ways that you can approach problems in climate change, but what our researchers actually did, Madeleine van Oppen, again, came together with scientists, also from other universities, from different departments. And what she actually did was she bioengineered heat-resistant coral that could then be reintroduced back into the Great Barrier Reef ecosystem, and it would build a more resilient to, I guess, sea temperature levels rising. And it's also working. So the Great Barrier Reef is regenerating. So you will have seen a lot of this stuff about the Great Barrier Reef quite often posted by Leonardo DiCaprio, actually. So this again is the kind of impact of the work. So this again was ecologists, biologists, marine biologists, and all climate change scientists coming together for this benefit. And it means that people will be able to enjoy this for years to come. Again, Professor Van Oppen teaches first-year students in undergrad right through to postdoctoral research students and graduate coursework students. So you might learn from her if you're in the Master of Environment or Environmental Science, or you are doing your Masters in Biology, or all sorts of things like that, or even a Bachelor of Science. So right through. Now, my last one here, on your screens months ago, if I showed this to people, I'd say, what do you think this is? And often they might say art. They might say, again, malaria. But this is, in fact, our most talked about topic of our lives right now. This is COVID, up close and under the microscope. We have number 10 in the world, medical, dentistry, and health sciences. So medicine and human sciences, we're in the top 10 in the entire world, and we're incredibly proud of that. The university sits surrounded by the Southern Hemisphere's Silicon Valley of medicine and biotech and medtech. So literally surrounding our university, we have nearly 100 research centres. Many of those are in medical research. We also have some of the top hospitals in the world, the Royal Children's, the Royal Women's, the Royal Melbourne, a specialist cancer, and eye and ear. We also have Australia's largest pharmaceutical company, who are actually co-located with our science team in Bio 21. And we've got some of the world's leading medical research facilities surrounding us. Walter and Eliza, the Florey Institute, and our very own Doherty. So why I put this on here on the screen is back in February, at the start of February, when in December and January, those first cases were emerging through the media throughout the world coming out of China, the University of Melbourne team at the Peter Doherty Institute, very late in the evening or early morning, on an aeroplane with 7 security guards, arrived the COVID virus from China to us in our lab. It was a significant biohazard, so it came with the 7 security guards, but it came to us, and we were the first people outside of China to actually regrow and map the virus in its entirety. We were also able to demonstrate how it actually reacted in the body, and also were the first to show how people recovered from it. So they were able to actually look at the immunology of this, how it pathologizes in the body. And this has led to really important research that is underpinning critical vaccine and treatment options. So it's stuff that we're really proud about at the University of Melbourne, but a big part of what we do is collaboration. We share our research. We research with other world's best. So we are part of the elite group of 8, which are like the Ivy League of Australia, 8 universities that sit in the top 100. But we also research with our colleagues in Australia for people like Stanford, Johns Hopkins, universities like Oxford and Cambridge. So we work with the best around the world to be able to deliver with impact. So you get the opportunity of our incredible thought leaders, but also our collaborators to work with and be inspired by. It's one of my favorite things personally when I studied, was that the people I studied from loved what they did. They're ambitious, they're talented, but they're really generous about sharing their knowledge and passion with students as well. It's pretty inspiring. And on top of that, they're really quite humble. You could be chatting to one of your professors, but they're actually someone that is world leading in that top 1% cited, and they're just a regular person chatting about the football game on the weekend, and then they're happy to spend that time with you to talk through what you're doing. The man on your screen is Peter Doherty, the namesake of where a lot of our coronavirus research is happening. He's a famed immunologist, and he actually has the title of National Treasure in Australia. Peter Doherty is a Nobel Prize winner. He began as a veterinarian, and he then crossed over to work in medical research for humans and immunology. And he actually is one of our 9 Nobel Prize laureates, and we have the most in Australia. So for over 160 years, we've had this incredible legacy of innovation and pushing ourselves and thinking and looking globally. So Peter actually is someone that does, again, regularly meet and talk to students and talk about his work and what he's doing, and is a really, really incredible person. He's also quite funny. This is Julia Gillard. She was Australia's first female Prime Minister. She studied arts and she studied law at the University of Melbourne. On your screens, I'm really missing this at the moment, is Novak Djokovic. He's won the most Australian idols in the modern, most Australian Opens in the modern era. But the man in the wheelchair behind him is Dylan Alcott, and Dylan Alcott is probably got the biggest record in wheelchair tennis. He's an MBA graduate and he's a big television star in Australia. This is Cathy Freeman. So back when we had the Olympics in Australia, she was the hero of the games, an important Indigenous leader in Australia. And she too did her Bachelor of Science. And on your screens is our current Prime Minister Scott Morrison. But the man grilling him on the screen is Waleed Ali. And he is one of the top journalists and presenters who also did arts and humanities, politics, international relations. He actually also has a PhD and teaches in political and social inquiry at one of our colleagues and researchers, but we trained him. So why I wanted to share, and this is Tilman Ruff, Nobel Prize winner, our most recent Nobel Prize winner for peace, and he worked in nuclear arms disarmament. So he is also teaches in our law, government, and our arts and humanities schools. So on your screens are our rankings, and I'm really proud of this. We are Australia's leading university. Something that's really unique for you as potential graduate students is that 50% of our students are postgraduate or graduate students, and the other 50% are undergrad. So this is a much more balanced population. So a lot of Australian universities, there are predominantly undergraduate students. So you will very much be part of a population where graduate students are very much a major component of our community. So we're very much set up to support you, to look after you. And I guess I'm just really proud of it. But why I wanted to tell you those stories is that we have this incredible research, but it has impact and trickles down in terms of the way that you go out in terms of employability and get a job. So quite frankly, we've got a lovely mix, inspiration, theory that solidly grounds you, but also the practical application to set you up to be wonderful in your job places. So we are number 7 in the entire world for global employability, which means that our graduates are recognized throughout the world by employers across all ranges and industries. So people know, respect, and value University of Melbourne employees. So you're going to be known. And we have a wonderful alumni base in Columbia, and our students from Columbia are outstanding. They make wonderful contributions to the university. They make the most of their opportunities. They take up internships. They take up research projects. They join different clubs. They take up the opportunities for industry mentors. They make the absolute most of their time. And I've seen that too. I was meeting with our alumni network in Bogota only back in September last year. and they regularly meet. They have industry events, they have social events, and they have impressive careers. So I really, really urge you, even now while you're making your choices, to get in touch with them, ask them about their experience. They've been there, they've lived it, and they've done really well. So why I wanted to share all of that with you, behind those numbers, if I go back a couple of slides to those rankings and stats, ultimately, we have excellent buildings, we have excellent facilities and wonderful research, but the stories I told you capture the heart of who we are. We're ambitious, talented, but I think the real thing I wanted to say, it's about the people. So you can have great facilities and stuff, but it's these people that are behind these excellent rankings. They're always pushing themselves. They're always working hard. But the other clue is that all of those projects that I spoke about were interdisciplinary. So at the University of Melbourne, we truly believe to be really, really outstanding in what you do in your life, or to go on to wonderful careers, is that you're able to approach problems from different perspectives. You're able to apply different thinking to what you do. You can work with people that can teach you and bring different things to the project. So even the actual people I spoke about, like Peter Doherty, he began in veterinary medicine, but he actually started out really strong in humanities. He loved writing, and he actually says he was better at that. So I think, wow, you can win a Nobel Prize for medicine, and you think, you know, you're better at poetry and things like that. So a very talented man, and he used that multidisciplinary thinking and pulled together people with different disciplines and skills together. So that's what Melbourne is about: big thinking, interdisciplinary, working with people with different backgrounds, and I guess being pretty brave about what you do. And that's why we have those wonderful rankings. On your screen now is my city. I love it. This is the city of Melbourne. And you can actually see that where that CBD is. So here up on your screens, this is where you'll find all of the big consulting companies, banks, insurance companies. So these are all places students might go on their internships. So in all of our graduate programs, you can do this, but you can see this little square around here. This is our campus. So you've got the sporting fields down here and right around here. And this is literally circling us, all of those research institutes, and also within our own grounds, and hospitals. So we're in an incredible, incredible position. It's a traditional campus, the one that you kind of dream of, but it's right there in the heart of the city of Melbourne. And just another shot, because I really love our campus. So this is just a bit of an idea. It's a beautiful mix of old and new. And it's one of the reasons I love going there each and every day. On your screens right now, this is actually from one of our residential areas. So one of our accommodations that you might live in. And it's got beautiful rooftop view of the city. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But as you can see, lots of different spaces, lots of places for you to work. And essentially, it is a really great place to be. But I wanted to talk to you about your education at the University of Melbourne too. So I've given you a glimpse into what we're about, what you can expect, and kind of what that Melbourne mindset is. But in terms of what we do, we really want to make sure that we are preparing you for now and the future. We don't want you to study something that's only relevant for a number of years when you first graduate. We want to make sure that it has that longevity and that prepares for you for when careers change, or when you want to change careers, or when there are jobs that don't exist yet. And when we talk about that, we only have to go back to the early to mid 2000s, and you know, there weren't people out building apps. This is an entirely new sector that people probably 10 years earlier weren't even projecting, and that kind of thing. So this stuff does happen. So how do we do that? We looked at the set of skills that are needed for the workforce now and into the future. So these are transferable and give you a good foundation. And we make sure to embed building these skills into all of your postgraduate courses. We do it in our undergrad, but we're going to focus more today on graduate courses. And these things overwhelmingly, they come from research with employers, people that do work looking into the future of work. They're also relevant to now. And so in those stories I told you earlier, there was a theme, transdisciplinary, or I call it interdisciplinarity. So that's that being able to think and have skills from what were traditionally different areas and bringing it together. So at the University of Melbourne, you might be doing a Master of Computer Science or a Master of Data Science. And in the Master of Data Science, you will have top academics and thought leaders and researchers from our Melbourne Business School and Faculty of Business and Economics, from our Faculty of Science, and from our School of Engineering, all teaching you within that, all giving you different perspectives. If you are doing a Master of International Relations or Development Studies, you will have academics that also come from different areas across arts, humanities, and social sciences, from the business school, from the law school. You'll have lots of different opportunities. And in fact, one of the biggest examples of interdisciplinarity is our Master of Environment. And this brings together the opportunity for you to even custom build a specialty, and all 10 of our academic divisions or faculties teach into that degree so that you're able to approach and look at things from all those different lenses. Novel and adaptive thinking was another one of those themes in the stories that I talked about earlier. And these were people, again, able to think quite creatively. So in your classes, we make sure that your assignments, the way you learn, the way you teach, will be building each of these skills on the screen. So these are going to be preparing you for careers and career readiness as workforces change. The other things that we do around it are those opportunities to go out on internships, to be mentored. You can take part in career fairs that will be specialist. You can go to course planning, career planning, one-on-ones, things like that. So we do everything that we can to make sure that you're ready from so many different angles. But importantly, beyond the theory of the discipline that you're doing and the practical application of that, whether it's in law or science or engineering or arts and humanities or design or business, we will be making sure to build these skills of sense-making, computational thinking, novel and adaptive thinking, virtual collaboration, which, boy, we're doing a lot of now, and having a design mindset. So, and I guess, again, I just wanted to point out this ranking because we're so proud of it. These are all the reasons why we do so well, and our alumni are really out making us proud. So as I said, please connect to the Columbian Alumni Network, have a chat to them, and they really encapsulate everything that I've spoken about. They are incredible students and we're incredibly proud of them. So here's what you can study at the University of Melbourne. I have mentioned a few of them in the examples today, but we are a fully comprehensive university, and I'm really proud that we rate so highly across the board. And as you can see on your screens, you can do just about anything that interests you. So there's lots of postgraduate programs in law, in medicine, allied and primary healthcare, arts, humanities, and social sciences. So things like Master of Marketing Communications, Master of Social of Community Development, International Relations, Information Technology, there's Computer Science, Data Science. In the sciences, things like environment and environmental science are incredibly popular. Education is another really strong area for the university. So lots of master's programs there. But also engineering is also quite popular with our students in Columbia. So Melbourne School of Engineering has lots of different opportunities for you. So it's pretty much two things that we don't really do at the University of Melbourne, and that is aviation. You can learn to build the plane and design the plane in engineering. And the other thing that we don't technically do as a master's program is fashion. But if you were interested in design, there are other design programs as well. So just about anything that you can think of, we can do. So we talked a lot about this idea. We do build you a strong theoretical foundation, and we do help you build those other skills. But here are some of the other ways that you get to practice what you're doing so that you can feel ready and confident and prepared when you go out into the workforce. So there's lots of practical classes. There's field trips that can be within Melbourne, within Victoria, interstate in Australia and overseas. So this gives you another chance to put another cultural lens. And a lot of our international programs, we have grants for our students as well. So we like to make these opportunities accessible for all of our students. There's also WIL is work integrated learning. So that's where we really embed that into your actual classes. There's the mentoring. So you can get academic mentoring from your teachers. And then there's the industry mentoring, where you can get paired up and mentored by someone in the field that you're hoping to work in. Internships, they're probably self-explanatory, and each of the faculties have offices that help you with those. Industry and research projects, there's a student success team, and what they do is they put on careers fairs. They actually do things like help you develop your CV. There's particular courses, even in personal brand, interview techniques. You can also have one-on-one appointments with them to talk about getting to where you want to go. There's also professional clubs. So there's lots of fun clubs, but there are those professional ones where I guess they bring in guest speakers from, say, if you're doing your Master of Law or engineering, where they bring in top law firms or engineering practices and talk through their work and things that they're doing, so that, again, you're across the latest that's happening in industry. And the alumni and industry networks I've talked a lot about today, but there are those special discipline type programs within there too. So lots of ways that you can build your skills and confidence. So we also know that an important thing is that you're in the right setting to help you feel inspired, to help you be able to study, but even have those breaks. So what you'll see, and you got a little bit of a glimpse earlier, is that we do have specialist teaching spaces. So if you are doing courses in design, there are specialist spaces for you to be doing design studios and things like that. If you are doing engineering, there are specific labs. So there's wet labs. So depending upon what you're doing, and that goes all the way through. There's places for you to practice. So places that if you were doing music, you've got private studios and things like that, or for performance. Places for you to meet as groups, so that you can tutor and work with one another, or do study groups or work on assignments together. So that means there are noisy places, quiet places, places to kind of hide out and cram for your exams. But importantly, there's even places for fun, and I'd say places to call home. So our on-campus residences and things like that. But as I said, a lot of our Colombian students, that they do reach out and make the most of the opportunities to study abroad, take on those field trips. So there are all of these opportunities available to you. And again, we do have grants and opportunities for that. We are going to back you every step of the way. So as you can see on your screen, there's all sorts of ways. If you need help or support, we can actually look after you. So there's a place to go for anything that you need. So if you're sort of struggling with picking your subjects, you can go and get one-on-one course planning. If you're struggling at some point in wanting to get a part-time job, they can help you get part-time jobs and that kind of thing. Even if you just at first don't know where something is on campus, if you need counselling or support or a doctor, we have all of that available for you. And of course, importantly, there is the academic support that is out there for you. So you will be backed and looked after every step of the way. So things are a little bit different. I have talked a bit about how much I love our campus and my city. But as you know, things are different all around the world. And when I spoke about this theme of connectedness and community at the University of Melbourne, we have done so much. I just wanted to share what learning at the University of Melbourne is like at the moment, while people are learning from all over the world online due to COVID, just to give you a sense of how important keeping connected and giving people a wonderful Melbourne experience is to us. So students aren't just logging on and watching pre-recorded lectures or things like that. We worked really hard to have a full experience, to make sure that lectures and tutorials and even practical classes, believe it or not, would be live, interactive and engaging. And for students that were not able to travel here and had stayed at home at the time, we actually also still do record the sessions so that they're able to watch them at times that are more suitable. And when it came to exams were scheduled personally. Our students that were in different time zones were actually contacted personally and spoken to, and separate exam times were set up for them. So in every way, we wanted to set our students up for success, but there was more than just classes still existed. So what you can see on your screen is our virtual campus. And as you can see, there were lots of components to it. So we had ways for students to be able to stay positive, because we know throughout the world, people are finding it a bit tough. We wanted to keep them connected and we wanted to help them work remotely. So we wanted to set up lots of ways to help with study remotely. And that included the one-on-one support through different channels, but it also gave tips on how is it best to kind of work when you're not on campus. And we wanted ways for people to be able to relax, let go and take a break from what was happening. And for many people throughout the world, that has meant lockdown. So being able to connect and have those breaks is really important. So what you can see on your screens is 104 concert halls, Ravel's Bolero. So this was one of the ways our music students were able to still have classes, still have rehearsals and connect. So they didn't stop. So lockdown didn't stop anyone. So this is 104 students in the orchestra at the University of Melbourne, all rehearsing from different countries and cities and towns throughout the world and Australia. And they came together for this performance. And they've recently done it again. And our dance students did the same thing. So this went quite viral throughout the world and it's really impressive. What you can also see on your screens now is that the University of Melbourne Sport brought together a bunch of things. So students could still do fitness classes, and there was everything from combat and HIIT to Pilates and yoga and stretch classes. So there was something for everyone. They're posted regularly, so you don't have to get sick of that same thing. They also had ways that people could put together a fitness program, because we know that keeping fit and healthy is really important for people's minds and bodies. But there's other ways we wanted to keep people connected and stimulated and make the most of the university. So there are all sorts of things like little courses online with how to play blues guitar. There were chess competitions. There is a talent contest happening this very week with our student union that will all happen via Zoom. They've also been having live gigs with some of the prominent Australian bands that are being put out to students. But there's even things from how to protect your voice from vocal fatigue, since we're all Zooming at the moment. But something I find really exciting is the cultural commons. So the University of Melbourne has one of the biggest art and cultural collections in the Southern Hemisphere. We put our galleries all online. So students, they're normally free and some of the best collections in the world, but now they're online so people can still have that to look at. And just here, we love our campus. So we created colouring for our students and staff and anyone else who'd like to be able to actually colour in, have a bit of a stress break and relax and I guess get a chance to look at our beautiful kind of iconic parts of the campus. One of my favourites, we have a mascot, a bear called Barry, and these are some of the messages I get from Barry daily. And you can kind of see my favorite one is, you know what, Zoe, ISO life is basicly hibernating, as I like to say. And And these are really quite cute. So people, when they're on campus, Barry makes special appearances. So when you're a University of Melbourne grad or a student, you will no doubt have a photo with Barry, and pride of place at home when you go back home will be your Barry the bear teddy bear. And in fact, a lot of the alumni were thrilled when I brought them their very own Barrys. So I just wanted to give you that glimpse that we still have a unique student life happening, and lots of different things for our students to come together and connect. And it's really been exciting to see. So I've got that picture again. I thought I'd talk to you about where you would be living, the kinds of places, and this is our city. So let's think beyond COVID. Melbourne is one of the world's most livable cities, and I feel so lucky to live here. What you can see is a bit of a snapshot of we're really famous for our laneway bars and restaurants and cafes. You can get food from pretty much anywhere around the world. It's one of the world's top food destinations. We also are the home of arts and sport in Melbourne. And you can kind of see it's not exactly what everyone expects Australia to be. In January, you can come to the Australian Open that happens in Melbourne. You have to try our football, AFL. You can see the grand final here. It's pretty brutal and exciting and athletic all at once. The Australian Grand Prix also takes place in Melbourne, and Australia's premier surfing, which is a big Australian pastime, also takes place in Victoria. So this is Fashion Week. So there's literally so many things. And again, I just wanted to show you how close to the action you are. Melbourne has the world's most cafes and restaurants per person than any other place in the world. I think that's incredible. So if you love to eat, there's lots that you can eat there. And there's also over 3,500 live performance activities that you can go to every single week. And so if you like getting out and seeing gigs and things like that, it's certainly a great lifestyle. So we do have a lot of different accommodation at the University of Melbourne. So there'll be something for everyone, all different budgets, and whether you'd like to live alone or with other students, have absolutely everything covered. So there's lots of different opportunities. So applications for semester 1 are now open, and you can see on your screens the different range of prices. But one of those things there is, I guess that I'd point out, sharing would be when you go, they're our on-campus kind of accommodation sharing and things like that. So you could also get together with friends and rent a place as well, which is actually even cheaper than these options. So that's probably the cheapest, but they would also include bills on top of that. So what you can see on your screens, they include your electricity, your water, your internet in most cases. And then the ones that cost the most, they absolutely cover everything, like your meals. So we have colleges. So these are here, the residential colleges. They cover 3 meals a day. So that's why they're quite pricey, but you don't have to do any cooking. It's everything. So I'd point out there's extra tutoring and all those sorts of things. So I will share that with you. And I guess I wanted to preempt some of the questions that we get. Do we have any scholarships? So yes, you were explained at the start from Johanna that we absolutely do have an agreement, and all students that are recipients of Call Futuro will actually get a fee remission or scholarship from the University of Melbourne. We really recognise how talented these recipients are and want to have you at our university. So by that, that is one way. We also have a range of other scholarships available, and they range for academic merit right through to accommodation scholarships as well. Some are for specific courses, and then there's even some that faculties actually have particularly for students from Latin American countries, because they would love to have more students from Latin American countries at the university. And then there are some from past students that actually want to help another student to come to the University of Melbourne. So I am going to type into the chat box in a moment when we finish the presentation a really great page that actually you can search for all the different scholarships that are available to you. A couple of things that I want to point out though, academic merit scholarships are automatically assessed. So when you apply to the University of Melbourne, we automatically assess you for academic merit scholarships. So you won't have to fill in any additional forms. You won't have to write any essays or anything like that. We will look at your marks with your application and we assess every single applicant for those scholarships. What you will see when you do the scholarship finder, when I put that link in the chat box very soon, just check really carefully for all of the other ones like accommodation or ones that are for particular students from alumni. Some of them may require you to fill in a form. Some may require you to sit a short interview. Others won't require anything at all. So just make sure to check out what you need to do there. But all of the ones that we recognize for your academic achievement, you just apply for a course at the university and you don't have to do anything else. We'll automatically check you for that. The other thing about scholarships that I want to point out is they are incredibly competitive. But if you don't get one when you first apply, because even students who are recipients of Col Futuro, not all of them you'll all get our 10 to 15% scholarship fee remission. But if you don't get a further scholarship from us, I want to let you know that we have scholarships for current students. So once you start and you're performing really, really well, we have a whole range of scholarships based on your performance at the university. So you may end up holding additional scholarships and there are other opportunities if you don't get other ones beyond that. But just to clarify again, you will all receive, if you get Col Futuro, you will all get, and I'm terrible at pronouncing that, I know, you will all receive, depending upon that course, that additional 10 to 15% fee remission, which we recognise and consider a scholarship for your excellent academic achievement. So we really recognise our students that come through this program. And another question that I get is, do we have financial aid? So that's not really something that we do in Australia. It's not sort of part of the Australian system. So I just thought I would answer that one now. While we've got our scholarships and we have support packages and support for you if you find yourself in any trouble when you're in Australia. So during COVID, we actually put in an emergency relief fund. So for any of our students, whether they're from Australia or anywhere throughout the world, if they were struggling, we've been able to do things to make sure that they were able to pay their rent and have food and those things to get by. But even when we're not in something as unprecedented as a pandemic, there's lots of kinds of supports for students available. And in terms of that, have a chat within, there's providers, I believe, in Colombia that have different ways to help support you. But financial aid is not really something that we do in Australia. So I know this has been a bit of a whirlwind tour of the University of Melbourne today, but just really quickly, I just thought we'd finish with how to apply. Really think about the course that's right for you. Now you can reach out to me. I'm always really, really happy to have a one-on-one or chat with you via email. I'm also happy to get up early or work something out for your time zone. We can chat through what you're thinking. I do also recommend, we've got a really great program called Ask an Alumni. And if you go to our website, you can literally ask them about their experiences. We have hundreds of alumni throughout the world that students can go and chat to and ask, well, what's it like? Tell me about what you're doing now, anything that you want. The next step, once you work that out, to make sure that you found the right fit for you, is make sure that you meet the admission requirements. So check really carefully. And then you can submit your application with all the relevant documents in a number of ways. So either you can meet with one of our agency representatives in Colombia. So we've got a number of agents there, and we have that listed on the website, or you can apply direct to the University of Melbourne. Now, you're never going to get stuck no matter which way you go, because I'm always available, whether you're with an agent or whether you want to just chat one-on-one. We also have support at any time that you need with getting your application submitted. We like to think it's user-friendly, but if you do find anything tricky, we will help you. And I guess that's probably the biggest thing, is we will help you. So again, the thing to check is the entry requirements. So most courses will just be looking at your academic achievement, but some of them, they may require additional things. So it could be a GMAT, which is for our medical courses. It could be the GRE for some of our business courses. Everything will be carefully outlined under the course information for the particular course you want to do. So most of you will probably be lucky and it will just possibly be your marks, but just check that, because there are a couple. Now, there's lots of ways that you can meet the English language, and you don't have to have met that before you apply to us. We can provide you with conditional offer, and you can also to apply to us if you haven't yet finished university. So we can base on your predictive marks or your marks so far, and we can give you a conditional offer that you meet what we require for both the English language and for your university marks. And then that way, what you can do is when you undertake your TOEFL or your Ielts or your Pearson, and when you finish your course, you're able to just upload those documents and we'll be all ready to go. So don't let that put you off if you haven't done your English language test yet, or if you haven't quite completed university, as a lot of people wouldn't, because you'll be preparing for what's next. We can give you a conditional offer, which means you'll have that offer that you can take back and apply for your sponsorship. So there you go. You can see the different intakes. So at the moment, we're taking applications for semester 1, 2021, and students will also be looking for mid-year 2021 as well. So we do prioritize courses for the next intake first, but it doesn't hurt to get in early. Now, for students from Colombia who are applying for Call Futuro, we prioritize your applications for any intake. So we make sure that they're out to the faculties ready to assess quickly, because we know that you want those offers and outcomes back quickly so that you can make your next part of the application. So we will look after you and get that to you as soon as we can. So there's those application deadlines. And I'm just going to stop sharing and come back. And I think we'll go to question time. In the chat box, I'm going to really quickly put in where you can find that scholarship finder page. It's really fantastic. I'm also going to put my email details so that you can contact me and ask me any questions at any time. I'm really, really happy. And as I said, in any forum or any way that you like to do, whether that's chat via email or meet on Zoom or WhatsApp or anything like that. So first, there you go. I'm Zoe Wall and I'm really happy to help you. Now, the other one is...
Zoe, thank you for being here, and thank you for doing the presentation and also for your offering, and so people can contact you and answer any specific questions they have. We will now proceed to ask some questions they've been doing in the chat.
Brilliant.
So the first one is from Diana, and she wants to know if there is a master in supply chain management within the university.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is actually quite a popular degree, in fact. So that actually does sit within our business school, so the Faculty of Business and Economics. So it has lots of great opportunities for you to actually have case-based learning, lots of work with industry, and there is the opportunity to do an internship. So you saw from that picture in Melbourne that we have lots of major consultancies and companies surrounding us. So they'd be the kind of places you'd go to. You can also do an internship overseas or interstate as well. So absolutely, our business school is one of the most recognized throughout the world, and you'll find that the academics that teach in there, they are very much working on research and stuff with industry. So you might even be able to sign up to get an industry mentor as well, so you can start building those industry connections and things like that. So I have put also, I just want to give everyone a tip in the chat box. You can read more about the courses of interest to you. So you can read that detail for supply chain management at study.unimelb.edu.au. And when you go there, you can just type in supply chain management, and that will show you absolutely everything. It'll link through to reading about the subjects that you can pick between, the ones that you will be studying. You'll be able to see where that internship subject can fit in, and it will also have for you all the course entry requirements to just make sure that you're ticking each of those boxes. So it's your most important place to go to before applying. So yeah.
Thank you, Zoe. For the next question is from Laura, and she wants to know, if I send an application this month for semester 2020 1-2, would I have an offer letter on time to present it to Colfuturo on January?
Absolutely. So thanks, Laura. That's a really great question. So what I really wanted to point out to everyone is we will prioritize our applicants from Colombia because they are applying for Colfuturo. So we absolutely will. So once you apply, it might also be worth you dropping me an email letting me know that you've put the application in. I can make sure that triage and admissions, what they do is first, they check everyone's applications to make sure that there is nothing missing, that all fields are completed, that all of the right documentation has been attached. Once they've done that check, they shoot it through to the faculties, and the faculties and triage both have an agreement with me that they prioritize these applications. So we will very much have an offer to you. Very much in time for that. So we will look after you. In fact, that you're actually giving us plenty of time. So thanks, Laura.
Great. Andres wants to know, what is the academic Ielts level to enter an MBA? I think he means the score.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad that you said that one because I know the IELTS one's off the top of my head. So thank you for that. So it's actually 6.5 overall, no band lower than 6. But for anyone else interested in courses such as law or the Master of Master of International Journalism, and some of the ones in the medical field like nursing or medicine, because those ones require probably a greater complexity of English, it will actually be 7 with no band lower than 6.5. But the majority of our Masters by Coursework programs are 6.5, no band lower than 6. But again, just check for your particular course you're interested in on study.unimelb.edu.au. Just check, and that will all be outlined there. So as I said, majority will be, and in the case of the one you're interested in, Andreas, 6.5 with no band lower than 6.
Great. The next question is from Mario, and he says, I am interested in a research project within the biomedical engineering research section. Should I contact them first and get their acceptance?
One of the things, if you want to do a master's by research, particularly in the STEM areas, we want you to be matched with the right researcher. It's a lot of work, and you need to make sure that you're going to feel inspired. You've got the right partnership. It's the right specialist, the right expertise. That is the perfect place to start. So I really appreciate you asking this, Mario, because it's a good tip for everyone. So if you are interested in research, the very first thing I recommend you to do, actually before you even contact the faculty, go to, and I'm typing it on the screen right now, pursuit.unimelb.edu.au. And you can actually click into the area of your interest, and you're going to find some pretty inspiring articles about the research in that area. This is going to give you some clues as to people you might want to work with and research with. So that's my step one. The next thing I would do is, if you did find someone there that you really wanted to work with, I would then reach out to them. If you're still not sure, I would contact the faculty and tell them all about what you're passionate about, where your particular research area, for this example, biomedical engineering, lies, and they can put you in contact with people to actually have a chat to. So essentially, something that's really, really important to do is, again, make sure that you identify who the right person for you to work is. But my tip for you, when you contact them, the people that don't do the right thing are the people that just ask straight out, will you be my supervisor? I'd like to do this and I want you to be my supervisor. They get a lot of those emails. What not many people do is, you should research that researcher first. Do your research. And when you approach them, reference their work. Say why it inspires you, align it back to what you're hoping to do, your own pre-experience that you've had in your undergraduate degree, and why you want to work with them. That's the best way to go about it, because it shows them that you're really thinking about what you want to do, where you're headed, and how you think they can help you. And honestly, they'll probably see that they would love your perspective in their lab with them too. So that's one of the great things, is that while someone may have years and years of research, they still think that they can learn from their students as well. So really show them the value that you could have working together, but that you've really thought about what you want and the benefit that they can give you. So that is my tip. But yeah, that is the first thing that you do need to do. Not all of the master's programs require you to have a supervisor first. So again, check this on study.unimelb.edu.au, but the majority do. And so have a look at that. The other thing you could do is talk to some of your own researchers at your universities. So we do have really good partnerships with the universities in Columbia, and they may actually have worked with, have referenced the work of University of Melbourne researchers. See who excites them as well. And that's another good tip about who you could approach. But if you're really stuck, we can definitely point you in the right direction. Sorry, Mario, I'm really passionate about that one, and I wanted to give you that tip. So it was a very long answer, but I wanted to make sure to give you those tips. So yeah.
Thank you. And the last question. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
I just saw Mario's part 2. That's exactly what to do for PhD. So that same tip I have, whether it's master's or PhD or a postdoc, well, postdocs, obviously, you're probably in the university and it's a bit different. But in terms of a PhD and a master's by research, the absolute same process and the same tips.
Great. And the last question, because we have no more time, it's from Ricardo, and he is interested in a doctorate in economics. He has a minor son who would travel with him, and he wants to know if there's any support either from the university or the government for these kind of situations.
So that's a great question, Ricardo. We actually do have a lot of postgraduate students come with their families or their children. So for a start, in terms of the visa and all of that, that's really simple. So there'll be no problems there. But on top of that, you'll actually be you'll be given a stipend in a doctorate. So that will help give you that support. Obviously, I'm not sure of the age of your son, but obviously there's good childcare support at the university as well. And that is actually very cheap for students. So it's subsidized for students, of which a PhD certainly is. And again, you can work a certain number, even of hours a week, even as a PhD student. So a lot of the PhD students would do tutoring of our undergraduate students. So you will absolutely have the opportunity to work. You will be able to absolutely bring your family and your son, and there is that great on-campus childcare if that's what you need, that is very heavily subsidized for students.
That's great. Zoe, thank you very much for being here today, for doing the presentation, and for answering all the questions. Remember, anyone who has any specific questions, you can contact Zoe in the email she just sent. I will send them again, just in case you missed them in the chat. And thank you very much for everyone being here today.
Can I just say a big thank you so much. I'm really thrilled to be here, and I really appreciated everyone's time, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here, Zoe. Que tengan una buena tarde. Have a nice day. Bye.